it also made me think about how I personally treat, like, I don't know if you get this, but how I treat albums by producers. Because, like, you know, I'll check out Static Selector's albums and stuff, but I tend to see them as like compilations as opposed to like their artistic vision. I tend to, for some reason, I tend to see it as Static Selector. He's made a bunch of beats. He's got some guys to come on it and rap over it and make the songs. And then he's obviously put it together and stuff. So he's like the main artist, right? He's the one composing it, putting it all together.
Yeah.
But I don't tend to go and listen to his albums in full. I just kind of pick songs out that I like. Whereas this is technically the same thing, because Robert Glasper's not got a voice on this. I mean, his voice is, you could say, through his music, but so is someone like Static Selector. And this is not like a DJ Khaled thing where you have to wonder, what the fuck did you even do, right? Like, Static Selector, we know what he's doing. Robert Glasper, we know what he's doing. And yet, for some reason, I treat this as like, yeah, it's a Robert Glasper album. I listen to it as a whole piece. For Static Selector, I'm picking and choosing songs that I like, you know? I'm not sure what that is.
It is because of the live instruments. That's it.
Do you think that's what pulls it together?
So this is what I will always gravitate to, like, bands and music that is played as opposed to producers. I'm wired that way. There is something a lot more impactful when you listen to an album which has been played by a collective of people. There's just something almost I can't think of the word. It's like a tribal. It's like personal? A throwback. It's like, yes, yeah. It's very much like gathering around the fire and having like a bunch of musicians like play for you. There's something quite old school about it. And when I say old school, I mean thousands of years old, you know. I think I personally really enjoy some albums by producers like take our boy Apollo Brown. I mean, the guy hasn't done a song that I dislike, and take Sincerely Detroit.
Yeah,
that album. Right. So
good
would
example.
You look at that as like an ensemble cast on an ensemble album? Would you think that, or do you think that is just Apollo Brown's stamp? Like, this is his vision? Because for me,
yeah. See, that's the thing. Like,
yeah, go on.
No, you're right. What are you gonna say? That's how do you see it?
I see it like Robert Glasper. Yeah. I see it as you know, there are some exceptions to the rule because you know, take a DJ Khaled for example. The guy's just he's basic, really.
Yeah, he's just putting people together on beats, and he's like an A&R who's somehow got his name as the stamp on the album.
That's it. Yeah. And you take, you know, Static Selector is a really good example. I just find it. I find if you shift your like perception, not just a producer but a composer. Yeah, so that's basically what, you know, Robert Glasper is. He's quite
that's
clearly.
The word that came to mind as well, actually.
Yeah. To be honest, I don't know if this is fact as well, or just made up in my head, but I get the impression that there's a lot of artistic freedom that Robert Glasper allows. But I don't think he's one of those militant kind of people. I think that he's very much like, if he's got like a bass player with him, he'll say, "Here are the notes. Here's what I'm playing on keys.
Do your thing.
Do what you want to do." And I really do get a real sense of community feeling from this album.
For sure. So, It's interesting you bring up the Apollo Brown thing, because I'm just thinking, like, obviously when he does it's different if he does the one producer, one MC thing. That's I see that differently.
Totally different.
Yeah, but for some reason when it's just the one producer and it's just like 12 songs, all of their beats, but there's a bunch of different MCs on it, for some reason it then changes my perspective on it, and I don't treat it as like Apollo Brown's. For some reason, weirdly, Sincerely Detroit, I do see that as Apollo Brown's artistic vision. Static Selector, it feels like a compilation of beats that he had, and he was like, yeah, Joey Badass will sound good on this. Oh yeah, Coat of the Friend will sound really good on this, as well as Killer Mike and Pusha T on this one. Things like that. And it's like, I don't know why I'm seeing it differently for that. Maybe Sincerely Detroit has a feels like in the title it has kind of concept because it's about his hometown. So he's got those kind of artists on there and stuff. So
Yeah.
yeah, maybe it feels like that. Static Selector feels like he puts out these albums because it's a great way of showcasing his ability, because it's like, I've got an album, all of these beats are mine, and check out all these MCs who co-sign, that kind of thing. Do you get what I mean?
Yeah,
But yeah, it's
totally.
interesting. It's interesting with Robert Glasper. It's different. Feels like he's the. It could be my bias as well, because for me, I listen to a lot of obviously like hip hop albums where it's like my focus is the MC and what their vision is, right? And you know, so if I'm not hearing any words on the shit, or if I'm not hearing a singular person or a singular voice, it's like, whose vision is this? Do you know what I mean? Like, is there a vision? And maybe it's a mindset I need to get out of just what's the word? Because what's the word when you're doing it all the time?
You've
Because,
grown accustomed to it.
yeah, I'm just accustomed to that. You know, it's not routine. It's I'm just grown accustomed to it. I need to get out of that kind of mentality. Maybe that's what it is.
I don't see anything wrong, bro. Like, I
there's
don't see
nothing wrong with it.
Yeah, I don't see it
I
as
just
one way or
wonder.
the other. Like,
No, I don't see anything wrong with it. I think it just made me wonder. Like, what? I only realized listening to this, I was like, why is there a difference? Why am I feeling a difference between this and, let's say, someone? Because I really rate Static Selector. That's the thing. But for some reason in my head, I'm not treating his albums like they're kind of something I listen to back to front of his. It feels more like he's put out a beat tape, but these beat tapes happen to have MCs on them. So instead of picking out beats to rap over, I'm picking out songs to listen to.
sure,
Do you get what I mean?
sure thing.
Yeah. Whereas with Robert Glasper, I'm not doing that. I'm not picking and choosing. I'm seeing the whole vision. You know what I mean?
Okay.
Maybe it's the way it's done. Maybe I know how beats are made and stuff, and it's more based on like looping the verse and then changing it up for the chorus for a few bars and stuff like that. Maybe I'm seeing that regimented approach in my head, whereas with
Sure.
this feels a bit more moving and kind of it not moving in emotional sense, but there's more moving parts. It's more, the music changes based on certain things and certain points of the album and things like that, you know, based on who's on it at that point. You know, Lupe Fiasco is an instrument in its own right, within the song, you know, whereas on Static Selector, Joey Badass, I think that's what it is. When I listen to Static Selector's album and Pusha T, Killer Mike and Black Thought are on a track together, I'm thinking it's one of their songs. I'm not thinking it's Static Selector's song. Maybe that's what it is.
Yeah,
right?
ownership.
Yeah, it feels like, so when Joey Badass has his solo song, like on a Static Selector album, he has that a few times, right? Because they have a good relationship. I'm in my head hearing that as Joey Badass's song. Technically, because in any other sense, it would be. You
Sure
rarely
thing.
see it as the producer featuring the artist. It's the artist produced by the producer.
Correct. Yeah, good point.
That's what it is, you know. So maybe that's what it is. So on something like this, there's something I know it's Robert Glasper's song, regardless if Lupe is on the whole thing, right?
Sure thing. Yeah.
Yeah.
They're in. Basically, you've ascertained the difference right there. Yeah. I couldn't have put that better myself.
Yeah, it's weird when you start saying these things out loud. It's almost like it clears your brain a little bit and you start to think through it a bit more clearly. But yeah, okay, that's interesting. Still, maybe I could change that still, but but yeah, it is what it is, man. Because